Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Share, subscribe, like this video, make sure you put your prayer request in the bottom. We're going to wrap up another day. Today being Wednesday the 20th. I believe I saw that right. Yeah, okay. Now we talked about earthquakes. We've been watching those. Remember, since 2022 into 2023, we've seen earthquakes like we've never seen. Even the people that do this for a living have never seen anything like it. Now, we're also having some of the biggest solar flares we've ever seen also. There's literally recorded. The last couple of weeks, we had some of the biggest ones we've had in decades. It's not coincidence, along with everything that's happened with the solar eclipse and the red heifers. I don't want to sound like someone just keeps repeating themselves, but I have to. This is what God has me do. He wants me to keep reminding people that we have limited time. While everybody else is out there telling you you've got tons of time, that's not what I'm hearing. World war is coming, but the rapture will come before. That's why we're stressing to you each and every day that we have limited time. Some people call me arrogant. I don't have an arrogant bone in my body. What I do have is love for people. And I don't want to see people left behind here. Nobody. I love Jesus. And Jesus loves you. And that's why we do this. We're not on here for fame or anything like that. And I don't care about any of that junk. All I care about is Jesus. I'm just an old country boy that puts Jesus first, no matter what. It's always God, family, and business. That's how I do things. And I have found out in my history that that's the only way it can work. When you start putting everything over God, you're not going to make it. Now, I've been lucky enough that God woke me up right before all this stuff started happening. And my job from Him was to wake other people up, to let them know that they don't have all the time they think they do, that we are on our way out. So we're going to talk about the earthquakes and what we're looking at. Now, it says here, an area of the coast of Washington State has been shaking by hundreds and hundreds of earthquakes. So this is an indication of potential trouble for the Cascadia subduction zone. Now, if you don't know where Cascadia is, it's right there on, right offshore of Seattle. Cascadia is very dangerous, and it's way overdue, way overdue. The last time it happened, it almost destroyed Japan, and it destroyed a lot of the West Coast. Now, people are still flocking to the West Coast to live in these areas. It's very dangerous because the Cascadia zone, like I said, is very dangerous, and they have been having earthquakes like crazy. But we've been seeing them not just there. We've been seeing them in Oklahoma, New York, all over the place, as the Bible would say, in diverse areas. At this point, there is so much that we don't know. Scientists are telling us that the quakes are centered around a large underwater volcano, which if you want to go Google that, you can actually look at the Cascadia volcano that's actually erupting in the ocean, and you'll see a video of it. The underwater volcano does not pose a threat at all, but it is enormous earthquakes along the Cascadia subduction zone where the could trigger a giant tsunami and slams into the west coast. That would be a historic disaster of epic proportions. Now remember, what I saw was San Francisco, and it was leveled. Now also remember the stories we talked about, the elephants going to higher ground. It's the reason when this article came out, I wanted to kind of go over it, because I don't think any of these things are coincidence. The frequency of all these earthquakes that we are witnessing off the coast of Washington are extremely alarming. It is being reported that earlier this month, there are as many as 200 a single hour. This stuff goes under the radar that people don't know. Scientists have detected a giant swarm of earthquakes off the coast of Washington, clocking as many as 200 in a single hour during the day. That's a lot of quakes. According to one of the experts that have been monitoring this area, there are 2,000 earthquakes in a single day. Now, kind of what we're looking at with Iceland and what's happening with that volcano. This is happening to many other places. Like I said, once again, it's not coincidence. These are stuff that we watch and we look, because many people have seen the tsunamis. And if many people have seen them, we know they're coming. According to one of the experts who's been monitoring the area, it's been 10 times more active as normal, said Jesse Hutchison, a junior staff scientist at ONC, an ocean observatory facility based in the University of Victoria. He said more than 2,000 earthquakes have been detected in one day. Why haven't we heard about this? If I was living on the West Coast, I would definitely want this in my news. But of course, they're not going to tell you. It causes panic. And these people, like I said, were just cannon fodder. But God knows it. That's why the rapture's coming. We are being told that this great swarm of earthquakes potentially means the magnetic rupture is imminent. The giant swarm of earthquakes followed multiple days of increasingly frequent quakes, according to the Ocean Networks, which is collecting data for research and study. The spike indicated a possible impending magnetic rupture, they have reported. Let me be trying to scroll and without messing it up. A magnetic rupture which occurs when the Russia, I don't know why that came in my mind. Earth's crust splits open for some reason and spills molten rock into a natural phenomenon that can be from a new ocean floor, according to Zoe Cross, a marine seismology professor. Magnetic rupture would be a problem, but what happens in an area that continues to shake violently? And eventually, an extreme large earthquake is triggered along the Cascadia subduction zone. As popular mechanics have recently observed, that world that would create the sort of disaster that few people would want to see. In this case, there are opposing forces: the North American plate, an enormous tectonic plate that carries the entire continental United States on its back, versus the 900,000 square mile Fuca plate located in the ocean of Washington, Oregon, Northern California. These have been squaring off in an epic wrestling match in that area known as the Cascadia subduction zone. Trust us, nobody wants to see the end of this round, yet only a few people seem truly bothered by it. Emergency management professionals and others have experienced earthquakes before. It's certain that the Northwest will experience a devastating earthquake again, says Chris Goldfinger, an oceanographer there at Oregon State University, the world's leading experts of that subduction zone. We have no idea the timing and how urgent it is, Goldfinger said. People tend to ignore it. In that case, the majority of the public, and as well as most governments in the Northwest, aren't yet pushing to implement the extensive infrastructure changes and early warning communication system needed. And it's too late for that. Listen, with everything that we're having with the red heifers and everything, you're going to see these events start to tick. Now, it's not coincidence that we're seeing this uptick in earthquakes, because Jesus said, when all these things start to happen, look up. A tsunami of the magnitude would cause, did I miss something? Such an earthquake could potentially create a colossal tsunami. That might be why the elephants are acting the way they are. A tsunami of this magnitude would cause destruction on a scale that most of us cannot even imagine right now. 2015, the former head of FEMA, Region X, was quoted by the New Yorker as saying that everything west of the Interstate 5 will be toast. If the entire zone gives way at once on an event that seismologists call a full margin rupture, the magnitude would be somewhere between 8.7 and 9.2. Now, that could be what I saw in San Francisco, because it was demolished. Let's see. Now, we are still here when that happens. If the entire zone gives way at once, I read that. By the time the shaking has ceased, the tsunami has reached the region, it'll be bad. That's coming from FEMA. It says the assumption is that everything west of the Interstate 5 will be toast. In the Pacific Northwest, everything west of Interstate 5 covers some 140,000 square miles, including Seattle, Tacoma, Portland, Eugene, Salem, the capital of Oregon, Olympia, the capital of Washington, and some 7 million people. It would be the greatest natural disaster in the entire recorded history of the nation up to this point. Sadly, it's inevitable that the great natural disaster will come. Our planet is becoming unstable, and we are seeing very strange things happen around the globe. Why is that? Because we're at the end. That's why we're stressing to you about all these things. For example, very long and very deep cracks in the ground have started to appear in Libya. Unusually large and deep earth cracks have suddenly appeared in the region close to Tripoli, causing alarm among local populations. In response, the Libyan government has initiated an investigation and dispatched a specialized geological team from the Ministry of Local Governance to conduct surveys on the affected areas. The Libyan Ministry of Environmental and this group taking the lead in overseeing the cracks and everything else. They have reached a stage where they're constantly witnessing usual shakings all over the globe. Just yesterday, a magnitude 3.8 earthquake rattled a very large area in northern Israel. And that's also prophecy, by the way. There's going to be a great earthquake there in Israel. Researchers of northern and central Israel reported feeling an earthquake on Wednesday. The Geological Institute reported that the earthquake felt by northern residents had a magnitude of 3.8 on the Richter scale and occurred a depth of 17 kilometers. There were reports that the earthquake was felt in deverse, Jordan, Mil, Haifa, and other areas. Felt the earthquake even more such in the Revolt, Maudlin areas. Today, a magnitude 5.8 earthquake shook in the Fukushima prefecture of Japan. An earthquake with a primary magnitude of 5.8 hit eastern Japan early on Friday. The epicenter of the earthquake was off the coast of Fukushima, where strong tremors were recorded, the agency said. The upcoming solar eclipse has raised concern about potential catastrophic events, including seismic activity and natural disasters. And I believe it's a warning that that's coming. The pull of the sun and the moon produces the tides. It makes sense that gravity could affect plate tectonics and potential trigger earthquakes. With the upcoming solar eclipse, the Earth, Sun, and the Moon will be aligned and could potentially have its greatest effect. If I was living on the West Coast, I would be watching what was happening very closely. Let's see, that wraps up that with all the information I got. But you see, what we're trying to tell you and show you is that April 8th is not something that's just going to come and go. There's a lot of things that it means. This is a final warning to America. Now, where is all this stuff happening at? On the West Coast. Now, I saw San Francisco completely destroyed. It was bad. And I couldn't even understand what happened to it. And that's one of the first times I ever heard the Lord tell me in a dream, this is San Francisco. It was an earthquake. Now, we've talked about that since 2022. And now with all this that's coming out about the earthquakes around the world and talking about the West Coast in general, it makes you wonder. Because I did see San Francisco first, and then the rapture happened. It didn't happen during the San Francisco earthquake. It happened sometime after. And then World War III happened, and then the Antichrist was on the scene. I saw 4 different events. So Now we're watching this that's happening in Washington. That plate on the western part of the country is unstable. And it's also tied to the Fukushima plate in Japan. They both play off each other, and they're both colliding and fighting with each other. It's not coincidence that that's why the red heifers are here after 2,000 years. All this stuff leads to the rapture. When I saw this article, I wanted to run it by you because these are the things that will lead to it. That's why I tell you that, Satan's going to tell you got plenty of time. But I promise you right now, as I'm standing here, you do not have that time. You're not promised tomorrow. If you're lost, you need to call on Jesus today. Trust the gospel. 1 Corinthians 15, 1-4. Jesus died on the cross for our sins, past, present, future. He died and was buried and rose again according to the scriptures. Trust the blood of Jesus. Call upon Jesus today. Because we don't have the time that people are telling you. And a lot of Christians are telling you got plenty of time. They are not correct. Not being arrogant. Not on here trying to say I'm smarter than everybody else. But I know the season we're in. We all see it. We've all seen the signs. Satan wants everybody to ignore it and go away. That's why he hates me so bad. He wants me to just shut up and quit reminding people that this is coming to an end. He wants the world to believe you got all the time in the world, and most of the world believes that. I'm here to tell you, you do not. God specifically in 2022 said, I'm coming. We better be ready to get on that boat before it's too late. These earthquakes are not something to laugh at, ignore. Neither is this solar eclipse that's going to happen on April the 8th. They're all aligned and part of the end times. The United States is not mentioned in Revelation. It will no longer be here. Something happens to it. I don't know what that is. Now, I know it gets hit in World War III. I don't know anything else. I've not seen the tsunamis or anything like that. I've not seen it, but many people have. Many people have seen great earthquakes hit the United States. I'm not one of those, so I cannot verify that. But I know there's been enough people that's seen it to where I believe it. If you've got so many people seeing the same things and they don't know each other, you better pay attention. It's one of the reasons we created the channel, because we needed more information, and you guys fill in the blanks. God bless each and every one of you for doing that. I do want to thank you once again for bringing me into your house. These articles and these earthquakes are important. Watch the West Coast. There's something going on. Those elephants running to the hills, not just there, other animal species are doing the same thing. Something is happening. And it's not coincidence that the red heifers are ready to be sacrificed in the next 7 or 8 days. And all this stuff happening on the West Coast. Keep your eyes peeled for all my brothers and sisters out there on the West Coast. Be awake and be watching. Understand, God will protect you. Soon the rapture of the church is coming. Listen to me very clearly. We're not going to be here much longer. Events are unfolding very quickly. We are leaving. You are the generation that will see the rapture of the church. You will see Jesus in the clouds. Do not let anybody else tell you any different. Don't take my word for it. Ask the Lord himself. He'll show you. Thank each and every one of you for the ones who bought me the super stickers and the ones that bought me coffees and those who continually support the program. Without you, we cannot get on here and grab stragglers that we can get in on that boat. That's the most important thing right now, people, is letting everybody know what's coming for them. We live in a world that's absolutely asleep and don't see anything. We've got to wake people up, and we've done that. We've been doing it for years. If we've, got 10 people on that ark, we've done our job. That's 10 people that wasn't there before. If you're one of those people, make sure you put in a comment. That will be something some other people can see. This is where you got awake. It's very important that people know your story, especially in these dark days to come. And they are dark, and they're already happening. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going home, and we're going home soon. There's a lot of stuff happening from now in April, May, and the world is literally on its last days. The world will not understand, or they'll be, they'll see World War III coming. They won't. We live in a world where everybody believes that it can't happen, but it's going to happen. They also don't believe there's a rapture of the church, but they're about to be sadly mistaken because it's about to happen anytime. Get on the ark while you can. If you don't know Jesus, call upon him today. That's all you got to do. It's that simple. I'm here to just remind those people each and every day that it's that easy. Don't matter what you've done. Call upon him. Truly believe that he died upon that cross. He shed his blood for you. He died for you, and he died for me. And you will be sealed until we get out of here. Okay? All the way to the end, you're sealed. And you don't have to stress or worry. You can rest in Jesus and be at peace. A lot of people try to scare people. I'm not here to scare you. I'm just here to remind the lost that Jesus is real, the Bible is real, and the end of the world is real, and it's coming. I'm just here announcing it each and every day. That's my job. And thank God for each and every one of you that allowed me to do that. Without you, I can't. God bless each and every one of you. If I don't see or hear from you again, I'll see you in heaven.